2025 is basically at an end, and in today's video, we're going to do a quick wrap-up of the year, as well as looking forward to what is coming for 2026. So I just wanted to start out by thanking all of my regular viewers, everybody who's new to the channel, everybody who's a channel member, anybody who's purchased any of the products from my store at ioniqguy.com. Thank you so much for your continued support in building the Ioniq Guy channel and brand. 2025 was the first full year of me being a content creator or maker or whatever title you guys want to put on me, and it was a terrific year. Views on the channel are up 14% versus 2024. Watch time is up a whopping 31% versus 2024, and subscribers are also up 13%. We're finishing out the year at over 40,000 subscribers. And if you are watching this video and aren't subscribed, click that little subscribe button down below if you're interested in Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis EV content. So thank you again, everybody, for a blowout 2025. So let's kind of recap some of the major things that happened with the Ioniq Guy channel this year. So obviously the first and biggest thing of the year was I got my 2025 Ioniq 5 towards the end of January. I flew out to Colorado to Stevenson Hyundai of Frederick and picked it up, drove it back to Boston over 3 days in a snowstorm. We're a two-car household, so we had to get rid of one of them. The lease wasn't up on the Ioniq 6, so that meant we were going to sell the 2022 Ioniq 5, which I then did towards the end of February. It was a little bittersweet to see it go, but I didn't want to have a third car payment. Towards the middle of the year, I finally got to drive the Ioniq 9 when it went on sale. That's really the only new car from Hyundai, Kia, Genesis that has come out in 2025. And I've gotten to spend time with the Ioniq 9 a few times this year. I had it in June. It almost immediately got in a car accident, so it had to go back. I got it again for my reviews that I put out, I think, in October. And then I drove it down to Key West from the Canadian border with the out-of-spec Eastern Edge race. I also put out a few videos with some other content creators, Bob, the Electric Principal, and Chris from Feel Sport. Unfortunately, Bob hasn't come to me with any new videos recently, but expect more into the future from Chris. We're actually going to do a little trade in a few weeks when I get my 2025 Ioniq 5 back. He's going to take that for a week or two, and I'm going to take his Tesla Model Y for a week or two because I have never driven a Tesla vehicle, so I'm going to test drive that for a couple weeks, and we'll make a video about that. He's been a longtime Tesla guy. I've been a longtime Ioniq guy, so we're just going to kind of talk about some of the things that we like and dislike about each of the cars. In August, we got my mom a Kona electric. We got rid of her 2011 Ford Fusion and finally got her into an EV. She's been driving it for 4 months now, and she absolutely loves it. As I just mentioned, in November, I took part in the Eastern Edge race from the Canadian border to Key West. There were, I believe, 7 three-row EV SUVs. And we basically drove 95 all the way down over about a day and a half. These are so much fun. It's a great opportunity to get out and hang out with a lot of cool people, make some new friends. I really enjoy these out-of-spec races. Total blast. And then wrapping up 2025, I put out the video on the high voltage battery pack that failed on my 2025 Ioniq 5. That video went kind of viral. It got 100,000 views in about a week and a half. That was kind of unpleasant because you guys know I wanted to put the video out for your guys' sake, not for EV haters' sake. I don't really care to see what they have to say, so they get blocked from the channel. This channel is here for the benefit of EV owners, not for the haters, and I imagine a lot of them are just bots. So not a fun way to end out the year. But stay tuned for more on that in the next week or two. I'm not going to be putting out an update video before the end of the year, so that'll likely be the first video in 2025. Now let's kind of talk about the cars and what happened in 2025, because it has been a roller coaster of a year in terms of EV news. We came into 2025 looking forward to a lot of new EVs hitting the road in the US, mostly from Kia. But yeah, things didn't go the way we planned to because of the elimination of the federal tax credit months early and just kind of a general pullback on EVs here in the United States. I hate to say that, but it does seem to be happening. So starting with Ioniq 5, it was a fantastic year for that car. Leading up to the end of the tax credit, people went out and leased and bought this thing like crazy. They're going to beat 2024 sales numbers, so that's pretty cool. But just like we expected after the federal tax credit ended, they kind of dropped off a cliff, even though for the 2026 model year, Hyundai lowered the prices across the board by about $10,000 for every single version of the Ioniq 5 in the US. So even though you lost the federal tax credit, you got an even more significant price drop. Ioniq 6 is completely up in the air right now. We haven't gotten any details about the refreshed 2026 Ioniq 6 coming to the US, except for in very limited quantities of the Ioniq 6N, which is the super high performance version. Because of really low sales volume and tariffs, which they are subject to a 15% import tariff coming to the US from Korea, they might just decide to axe it altogether, which is a real bummer. I love my Ioniq 6. I was really looking forward to spending some time with the 2026, maybe replacing our old Ioniq 6 with one. So right now, we're just waiting to hear from Hyundai what's going to happen. In June, the Ioniq 9 was released. Sales have been kind of mediocre in my opinion, selling around 800, 1,000 units per month. Nothing even close to Ioniq 5, which makes sense because it's a much more expensive vehicle, but still it would be nice to see them selling more. And then last but not least, Kona Electric. For the 2026 model year, Hyundai basically eliminated all versions of the Kona Electric in the US except for the small battery SE trim. The reason for doing this is because there was too much overlap with the new lower reduced pricing of the Ioniq 5. Plus that car isn't being built in the US, so they'd have to pay a 15% tariff on it. So it just didn't make sense to continue bringing that in when the Ioniq 5 kind of takes its place. So let's move on to Kia. The EV6 sales have been pretty mediocre this year. The Ioniq 5 has outsold it by a pretty big margin. I got to spend a little bit of time with it at the end of the summer, and I really enjoyed my time with it. It was my first time in a standard version EV6. I only ever drove the EV6 GT for a week, so I didn't really have a good feeling for what the more toned down version of the EV6 was like. But it was a great daily driver. We don't really know what the future of the EV6 is either. I just read an article the other day that the EV6 for 2026 is not going to be sold in Canada anymore. I guess because they don't want to export it from Korea to Canada and they don't want to pay tariffs to import it from the US where it's now made here. I guess they're just saying, yeah, we're just not going to sell it anymore. So for you Canadians, that really stinks. But since Kia has discontinued the EV6 in Canada, they are now bringing the EV5 to the Canadian market, which kind of fills that void. It's lower voltage. It doesn't charge as quick. It's more boxy. It's not as much of a hatchback. I might have to take a drive up to Quebec or Montreal and check out an EV4 and an EV5, make a little weekend out of it or something, because these are two cars that I think we really need to see come to the US at some point, but with the current state of the country, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Kia has also decided to cancel the EV9 GT for the US market that was revealed at the LA Auto Show at the end of 2024, so that's canceled now. And basically for the same reason as all these other cancellations, tariffs. The 2026 EV9 is now being sold in the US. They have switched that over to the NACS port, just like they did with the 2025 Kia EV6. So both their offerings here in the US now have NACS. But the EV9 has also not sold too well this year. It's going to be less than it sold in 2024. The Kia EV4, their new electric sedan, was supposed to be sold in the US, and then the Trump administration came in, and now Kia has decided that they are no longer going to bring the EV4 to the US. This was going to be their cheap entry level into the eGMP platform, and I guess due to the fact that there are tariffs, they just decided that it's not even worth the time. There has still been no news whether the EV3 is coming to the US anytime soon. Some of you might know about the Kia PV5, which is a minivan type vehicle that Kia has begun selling globally. And we've seen some spy photos of it driving around Southern California. So we don't really know what that means, if it means it's going to come to the US. It would probably come here mostly for fleets, but that would also be one that I'd be really excited to check out. Now let's talk about Genesis, the kind of forgotten company here. Genesis isn't in a great place right now. So for 2026, they refreshed the Genesis GV60. I have yet to be able to get one to check out. They haven't had one available in the press fleet, which is unfortunate because it's been out for a few months now. So I don't know why they just haven't given one to any of the press fleet for people to review. So hopefully in the next few months, I'll get to check one out because they did some pretty decent changes to that for the new model year. But Genesis's other two EVs in the US are completely dead. They canceled the electrified GV70 like right after it went on sale post refresh in the US. And they also canceled the electrified G80 earlier this year. So basically, if you want an EV from Genesis now, you have one option, and it's the GV60. So that's really unfortunate. I really liked the electrified GV70 when I got the test drive one a couple years ago. I never really spent too much time with the electrified G80. I drove it out in Seattle when I was out there for the I-90 Surge with Kyle from Out of Spec. So that was really my only experience driving it for about an hour. So let's talk about 2026 and the Ioniq guy. So lots going on next year for me personally. Getting married next June, so we're doing a lot of wedding planning, getting ready for that. And then on top of that, my fiance is finishing up her temporary job here in the Boston area, so she's going to be finding a new job, and we're likely going to be moving again. So say goodbye to this office at some point next year. Hopefully we'll be getting into a new house so I can kind of expand my production facility here a little bit for products, get a driveway again, which would be really nice. I've really missed not having my own personal space to film my cars. That's why you've seen most of my videos filmed at my mother's house over the last year and a half. So with all these big things happening next year, you're probably going to see me a little bit less than usual, but I'm still going to make a big effort to try and keep a relatively normal video schedule, at least one video per week, I'm hoping. And then the biggest change for us in regard to the cars, the Ioniq 6 lease ends in April. So we need to figure out what we're going to replace it with because we do need two cars. So since there is no sign of the 2026 Ioniq 6 getting released by April, so other options now that that's kind of out of the question. Could go with an EV9, could go with a new EV6, but I'd really like to have something that I can continue to track the kind of old operating system from the 2024 and earlier Ioniq 5. So I'm thinking maybe get another used Ioniq 5, a used Ioniq 6, maybe a used EV6. To be perfectly honest though, with the old Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6, I feel like I don't have anything else to really say about it unless they start coming out with decent software updates. I've kind of made all the videos about it that I want to. So part of me wants to get something else. As much as I would like to get a car from a different brand, I don't know if I want to because I don't think you guys are going to watch. I don't think you guys are going to really care. So it's not going to really do anything for the channel. It would just kind of mostly be for me, which I guess I could do. I could get a third car if I really wanted to try something else, start another channel, who knows. I like Genesis's cars, but there's not enough of you to watch these videos to make it worth the time and effort. So I kind of feel like I have to stick with the more mainstream Ioniq 5 or EV6. But if you guys could do me a favor, let me know down in the comment section, what would you like to see me get to replace the Ioniq 6? I can tell you one thing, we are not going to be buying out the lease at the end of the term because right now they have the residual value at like $35,000, $36,000 when I can go buy the exact same car from a dealership for like low 20s. It just makes no sense at all to buy this exact car. So that's completely out of the question. So lastly, let's talk about what we're expecting from Hyundai Kia Genesis for 2026. So Ioniq 5, we're not expecting any changes. They're going to do probably one more model year, the 2027 Ioniq 5. And then I think we're going to see a fully redesigned Ioniq 5 on their new EM platform, which should hopefully bring a lot of improvements to the Ioniq lineup. Really looking forward to seeing what that's going to be like. We should hear some more details probably next year. As I already mentioned, we don't know what's going on with 2026 Ioniq 6. It just might not go on sale here in the US. Total bummer. In regard to Ioniq 9, I think we're going to see a price drop for it because with the loss of the federal tax credit, these cars just seem a little too expensive. So hopefully they can bring those down $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 next year for the 2027 model year. Hopefully that will be able to spur some more sales. Now, Ioniq 3, there's soon to be revealed little hatchback for Europe. That's going to most likely go on sale in 2026. Not going to come to the US. It will probably be predominantly European and in their home country of Korea. But we should know more about that in the coming months. We already saw the concept car a few months back. The Ioniq 6N will go on sale in the US in very limited numbers. But beyond that, that's pretty much it for Hyundai. Kia EV6, same thing as Ioniq 5. We'll probably see up to a 2027 model year, and then we'll likely see a full redesign. EV3 already on sale all over the world. EV4 going on sale all over the world, except the US. And last but certainly not least, Genesis. They've got a couple interesting releases coming out in 2026, so we should finally get the Genesis GV60 Magma, which is their high performance, comparable to the N from Hyundai and the GT from Kia. So that will finally be hitting the market. We've seen spy photos of that car for like 2 years now. And lastly, next year Genesis is going to be releasing their GV90 all-electric 3-row SUV. And the reason I'm so excited, it is the first car from Hyundai Motor Group that's based on their new platform called EM. And this is going to pave the way for all future EVs from Hyundai and Kia. This will have all of their new technologies, hopefully improved charging, hopefully improved efficiency, improved motors, hopefully a completely new ICCU so we can finally be done with this, or whatever they want to call it, get rid of the ICCU nomenclature because it is tainted at this point. So I'm just generally excited to see what Hyundai has been working on for the last 3, 4, 5 years in terms of next gen EVs. So there you have it. That is it for 2025. See you guys all in 2026. Really looking forward to another year with you guys. Again, thank you so much for your support, for all the nice comments you guys have, the emails, the private messages. I love hearing from you guys. You guys are the best. Check out my store at ioniqguy.com for accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV. Wishing you all a happy, healthy new year, and I will see you all in 2026. Take care, everybody.